All right, welcome to Space Part 2. All right, so we have our content centered, but what if we want to vertically center it, not just horizontally? Well, on the psuinteractivemedia.com website, on the resources page, right at the top, there's a code demo for vertical centering. So I've opened that in a new file, and when you go there, this is all you get. So what the heck are you supposed to do with this? Well, you can view the source on this and see all of my code for it. So the way you do that is you say view developer view source. Okay, so in here I have, it's one big file. So I have both my code, my CSS code and my HTML code. See, there's the body tag. If you have read the Duckett book, the intro in chapter 1, you've probably read, or actually no, the first CSS chapter, sorry. You probably read about how you can actually have your style in the file. I do this a lot for demos. I really do not recommend doing this because it gives you less options for making your site responsive, and you're going to want to be able to go back and make your site more responsive. So please just get in the habit of making that CSS file the separate file. But in the case of demos, sometimes it's just easier and faster to put it all in one place. Okay, so basically what's happening is I have this section class parent is kind of the same thing as my main because it's kind of the parent item. And then I have a div with a class of child. So these are kind of like, it's setting up a relationship. I'll probably show you a couple different ways to do this in CSS. But then there's a bunch of content inside of it. And then the div closes and the section closes, right? So there's this parent-child relationship that we need to think about. So in our case, main is the parent and the child is the header. So we have this width and height. Actually, I think we only have height. So let's add the width. So I'm going to just copy. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say my header, my main, I have a height of 100 viewport height, but I also want it to be a width of 100 viewport width. I'm going to take a look and see if anything looks different. Not yet. Okay. And then the other thing I want to do, back to view source, is I'm going to skip to the child. So in our header, we have margin auto. This one says margin auto. And that width, we've decided our width is 70%, and that's fine. So I'm going to add margin auto. I actually don't know if it makes any difference, but we'll try it anyway. Margin auto. And then I'm actually I want to solve that question later. No difference. Okay, back to view source. So here's where the money is. So when we start doing layouts very shortly, we are going to look into Flexbox, which is a way of displaying your boxes. So you know how HTML is a bunch of boxes? You can display it in Flex mode or Flexbox mode, and that flexes everything. It allows you to adjust your layouts and use a grid layout. So we're going to grab this display flex, and then we also want to get align items center. So I'm going to copy those and I'm going to put them, and remember they have to be in the parent, which in our case is main. So I'm going to say, okay, I want you to display flex, so use Flexbox on any of my children elements, and I want them all to align center. So let's see if that did the trick. Back in space. Okay, there you go. So it's taking that content box and it's centering it. I'm wondering if there's like extra, doesn't it look like it's a little bit top heavy? I'm wondering if that extra paragraph margin is adding. It might be actually because look, there's no more margin on the button. So maybe I'll just get rid of the padding top just to see if it looks a little bit more normal. So I'll just say, hey, in my paragraph, make the padding dash top 0. Let's see if that looks a little more balanced. I can't really tell, but I think it is centered. Okay, so what if there's more than one box? Let's add another one, and then I think we may have to adjust. Oh, right, before that, I want to get rid of this auto and just make it auto and see if it really makes any difference. I really don't think it does. Okay, so let's add another box. So I've got this header box, and now let's do a section box. And in here, oops, I'm also just going to make some lorem ipsum of like, I don't know, 25. Okay. And maybe I'll say second section. All right, if I up there now, it's already like flexing it into like a new box, and so it's trying its best to figure out how to do this correctly. And because this is like at 70%, and this is like trying to, I don't know, it's all crazy, trying to be 100. So I think what we would want to do in this case is, instead of using a main div is sort of like your general box, I might give it a class of parent, and then that way, so I'm going to get rid of that way I can just wrap it around all of them, and then that makes sure that my content is totally centered. This is just sort of like me on the fly thinking about ways to fix it. So what I'd have to do is change main to div class parent, and then have it basically wrapped around each section. So this one, for the header, I want to close the div, and then I want to just like start up a new div for section. Right, and then maybe, and then I want to close it after section. So I'm going to cut that, put it down here, and then we'll lose our color. So I probably want this to also, I'm going to show you a trick right now. So this has a class called parent. We can actually add a second class. So you can add as many classes as you want. So maybe we have a class, we'll call it 1, or maybe we have a class called bold, or maybe we have a class called something else. You can add as many of those as you want in classes. So I'm going to use that trick. I'm going to say parent, and then 1 is going to hold that background color. This one will be parent 2. Okay, so I got to switch some code over here. So main becomes parent. Dot parent, excuse me. So it's a class, so it's a dot parent. So that means it has a background. Both of them will have a background color right now. They're both going to take up whatever the viewport height is and whatever the viewport width is. So let's see what we've got so far. Where'd it go? Okay, space. So here's lorem ipsum 1, and then we scroll down, and then this is just because our styles are in our section. So let's think about that for a second. So I've got a header and a section. I probably all of my pages to have the same width. So I have a couple ways to do that. I think what I probably would do, all of these are going to be the same. I can say header has these classes, and then section has these same exact classes. And if things start to diverge, so section needs different style than header, then I can just make a new section down here with its own specific styles, or a new header. So you can have as many of these as you want. You just generally want to try to keep it organized. So, okay, so now it should be name width. Okay, that's looking good. I just want them to be color so they look different. So I have the background color in parent, and I want to take it out. So I'm just gonna select it. I'm gonna hit Command X on a Mac or Control X on a Windows machine. And then remember, I made a class called 1. So I can say my first one should have a background color of powder blue. And then remember I had a class called 2. That one, let's see, what color? Light something. There we go. We'll do light goldenrod. Okay. So now let's go review this again. So I have a class called parent, which is telling it, okay, use that Flexbox trick. And then I have a class called 1. So that'll be blue. And then this one uses that same class parent. So it does the same thing. It does the whole Flexbox trick. It says this whole div should be a width of 100 and a height of 100 viewport width and height. And then this section should be 60% or 70%. And then it says, and also on this div, give it the style of class 2. So now this one is light goldenrod, right? So we're kind of using this inheritance model to help us take advantage. So let's save this and see where we're at. Okay, so here is number 1, so that's the header. And then here's number 2 with our lovely goldenrod. And it looks like they're fairly centered, although I'm still convinced there's more, definitely more height here. Maybe the next video will be troubleshooting that. I'm not sure. All I know is my voice is getting very hoarse. So I'm going to go. Thanks a lot. Bye.